everyone. Well, good morning, everyone. Boy, it's great to see everyone here, a little post-COVID back in Bovey Memorial. It's great to have everyone here together. My name is Woody Kingman, class of 78, and I am honored to represent the Blake Alumni Board and the Office of Institutional Advancement, which sponsors these events known as Breakfast at Blake. And it's especially exciting to have a reunion edition. We've got a lot of folks in from out of town that are reuniting this weekend, and hope you all have a lot of fun. There's a lot of events. I'm sure you've seen them on the internet and the emails you've gotten from Blake, so hope everyone partakes in more than just this breakfast this weekend, including the football game this evening, where we need a lot of cheers and fans in the stands, so hope you can make that too. So on your table there is a folder with the names of the folks that we have lost in the last couple of years. This document lists names of alumni that we have lost whose classes are celebrating a reunion, as well as those alumni and former faculty and coaches that we have lost since September 1st of 2021. So at this time, I'd just like to take about 20 seconds, have you look at that list and just reflect on our friends, classmates, faculty, and coaches that have passed away recently. Well, thank you. It's kind of sad to realize that this list is as long as it is. So, but it also means we've had a lot of friends over the years, which is pretty great. Well, this morning I have the pleasure of introducing Head of School Ann Stabney, who will be presenting the Alumni Awards. In her decade at Blake, Ann has led changes that have strengthened the school's reputation and positioned it well for the next century. Among her larger endeavors are the $80 million comprehensive campaign and 6 capital projects, including the new dining commons downstairs, the new front entryway that we came in, and the early learning center that you would have passed as you were coming up the driveway. And that will be her 7th project since she's been here. Global programs, computer science, world languages, literacy, mathematics, humanities, all these areas of study have been reimagined and refined under Ann's leadership. She has strengthened Blake's commitment to pluralism through initiatives that have helped to diversify the school's faculty, the staff, and the students. She's also championed professional development for all the Blake employees to strengthen their cultural competence, and she has expanded learning opportunities for all of the students. Ann has deepened Blake's investment in need-based financial assistance, which now this year serves 50% more students than it did when she joined Blake in 2012. Wow. It's been an awful lot you've done in the last 10 years, Ann, so I am honored to welcome you up to the podium. Take this and go for it.
Thank you, Woody, and good morning. It's good to see you all and have a full room. I have the pleasure of presenting 2 alumni awards today. The first is the Jenny Stephen Higgins Award, which is being given to Christine Anderson Morrison and Jack Morrison. So I'd like to share a little bit about Chris and Jack. So Chris graduated from Northrop Collegiate School in 1965. She was valedictorian, chair of the junior-senior prom, homecoming queen, and a National Merit Scholar. She's smiling, yes. She began college at Smith, where she was a Sophia Smith Scholar and recipient of several academic awards. She ultimately graduated from Tufts University with a degree in mathematics. For the past 40 years, Chris has been a committed volunteer for many leading organizations in the Twin Cities. Her board service includes Abbott Northwestern Hospital, Allina Health System, United Way of Minneapolis, the Minnesota Women's Campaign Foundation, the Camp Ripley Memorial Foundation, Planned Parenthood of Minnesota, Women Venture, the Lakewood Cemetery Association, and the Guthrie Theater. The city of Wayzata has benefited immensely from Chris's contributions, where she has served for 4 years on the Wayzata Planning Commission, also for 4 years on the Wayzata City Council, and for 16 years on the City of Wayzata Housing and Redevelopment Authority. It's no wonder that Wayzata Mayor Ken Wilcox proclaimed July 5th, 2011, Christine Morrison Day. John Morrison, also known as Jack, attended Blake for 7 years through 9th grade and then transferred to Phillips Andover Academy. After receiving a bachelor's degree from Yale, where he was hockey All-American, he went on to be the leading scorer on the 1968 U.S. Olympic hockey team. He earned an MBA from Harvard Business School 3 years later. Jack served as vice president of corporate finance at the securities firm of Kidder, Peabody & Company, and then he moved on to Pillsbury Company. There he held several leadership positions, a number of them globally focused. He co-founded the investment firm of Golder, Hahn, Johnson & Morrison, and he's currently chair of Callanish Capital, co-founded in 2001 with his son Jeb. For decades, Chris and Jack have been a caring and committed presence in our Blake community. From 1983 to 1991, Chris served as a Blake trustee, and for 3 of those years, she served as board chair. From 2015 to 2018, Chris and Jack were honorary chairs of our comprehensive campaign, Excellence Accelerated. Chris and Jack have attended scores of Blake events over the years, and they have been active volunteers for decades. Chris and Jack are proud parents to Kelly, class of 1987, and to Jeb, class of 1990. They have 6 grandchildren, 4 have graduated from Blake, and 2 currently attend Blake. On a personal note, I want to express my deep gratitude for Chris and Jack's support and their kindness to me. They always take my calls, they offer sage advice, and they model for me what genuine service leadership looks like. Chris and Jack, today we honor you with this citation. The Blake School recognizes Chris and Jack Morrison for their outstanding service to the school, as inspiring leaders, as dedicated volunteers, and as integral members of the Blake community. So congratulations, Chris and Jack. My pleasure to present you with the 2022 Jenny Stevens Hagen Spirit Award. All right. Next is the 2022 Outstanding Alumna of the Year Award. This honor goes to our speaker this morning, Cathy Countryman Maes, class of 1985. Cathy joined Blake in 2nd grade. In upper school, she was captain of the girls' basketball and softball teams. Cathy was known by many nicknames: Kath, CC, Countryman, and CAC, the last being a nickname that was inspired by the monogram sweaters that she wore, and she's fondly remembered and in a number of pictures wearing the monogram sweaters. After earning a Bachelor's of Science degree from Northern Arizona University, Cathy founded and launched and led a market research company. She went on to serve as executive director for the ICA Food Shelf for 5 years, and then joined Loaves and Fishes, Minnesota. In her nearly 10 years as executive director there, Loaves and Fishes has grown to serve over 4.2 million meals annually at over 70 outlets in 8 Minnesota counties. This represents a significant increase, 13 times larger than the meals distributed the year Cathy joined the organization. Loaves and Fishes Minnesota is now the largest open to the public meal program in the state. In 2019, Cathy was named a Transformational Leader by the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits, where she has also served as vice chair. She is currently a fellow at the Center for Integrative Leadership at the University of Minnesota. She's an active public speaker who seeks to use her platform to advocate for others. We are proud to honor Cathy with this award, which honors alumni who have demonstrated outstanding leadership, achievement, and influence in their field and community. Cathy, we honor you today with this citation. The Blake School recognizes Cathy Countryman Maes for outstanding contributions to executive nonprofit leadership, for a profound commitment to fighting food insecurity and hunger, for providing healthy meals where need is greatest, and for grounding everything you do in the belief that all people deserve dignity and respect. Congratulations, Cathy. It is my pleasure to present you with the Blake 2022 Outstanding Alumna of the Year Award. Welcoming Cathy Countryman Maes this morning.
Thank you. Oh, it's all set up. Wow, thank you. I ran around the house this morning looking for my leather folder so I could put my speech in it, but I had all of these sitting out, so I thought, well, this works. Thank you again. John called me, and so did Anne. It seems like a very long time ago, and said, you're going to have to give a speech. And I said, oh, I'd love to give a speech. In fact, I just gave a speech on leadership, and I will just pick that one up and do it again. Well, a couple weeks ago, I picked it up, and I was like, Cathy, read the room. They're not nonprofit leaders that want to know more about how to be a better leader. So we're going to go a little bit different. I had a really fun time looking at photos, reading, hey, Cathy, blah, 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 you're so great that we had this time together, whatever. But it was so much fun. So I would suggest to anybody, turn off your Netflix, get rid of your Hulu, open up your yearbooks, and connect with your classmates. We'll see if I know how to do this. Okay, a gold nugget. My staff who is here, our staff who is here, understands what this means. If you go to a conference, you go to a election, you go listen to a speech, and you come back with one gold nugget to the office, it was a win. That meant your time away, the money that we spent for you to go learn, you can now implement. So I hope today you walk away with a gold nugget. It might be a little bit of dust. I mean, it might not be a whole gold nugget, but I'm going to talk about the unexpecteds, the lessons, and some fun photos, and some really crazy hair that I cannot believe my mom let me wear. So this I picked up out of Facebook. This is Miss Rayburn's classroom at Highcroft, and I know that Benedicta's in it, Juliet, my friend Wendy, Scott, and I had to put that up because there was a cohort of us that went to Highcroft, and then here we were at Blake. Literally, I think I'm standing right here. But here's the deal. Let me see if I can go backwards. I think this photographer said smile, and this one I'm not sure what they said. Because we look very solemn. The reason why I bring this picture up is this is when I started at Blake. And this is Miss Fellers. She was lovely. She was all about 20 years old. And standing right next to her is Fritz Rahr, who is one of my good friends. Fritz and I will blame our parents on this one. There was a crime that was committed in 2nd grade. And it's because my brother Steve and his sister Heidi had to go to the middle school that started an hour before the lower school. We think our parents were kind of cheap and they didn't want to do an extra busing. So Fritz and I had an extra hour idle in our classroom. Let's just say it's a Monday. And in walks someone with a brown paper bag. Fritz, curious as Fritz is, opens the bag, and there are frozen mice in the bag. Now, you might not know this about Blake. Is there still a tunnel?
Yes. Yeah.
It was filled with snakes in the 60s and 70s. I mean, not just roaming on the floor. They were in containers. And so we had one, and she was big and yellow, and these mice were supposed to be given to the snake. Fritz opened it up, and he said, "What do you want to do with them?" And I think this is when I became a leader. This was this pivotal moment. I said, "Fritz, Miss Fellers is going to walk in the door, and she's going to open up the drawer right here, and she's going to put a purse in it. Put a mouse right there." Okay, what else? How about the eraser? Because remember, we still had chalkboards. Okay, how about that desk? I don't know where they all went, but I know they went to Mrs. Feller's drawer, and she freaked out. We got in trouble. I don't even know if Mom and Dad remember this. Maybe it went under the radar, but I don't think it did. There was an unexpected, amazing consequence, and I would say it was a silver lining to a really bad mouse story. Fritz and I got relegated. Our penance was to go into Miss Polisek's room and clean all of the brushes. Chris became a friend, a mentor, and still is today. She was my silver lining. She was an art teacher. She taught me colors and textures, and to this day, I believe I am an artist because of Miss Polisek and the mice. Mr. Hatch. Well, as I was going through the yearbooks, something really was happening in 84 and 85. I mean, we were really focusing on better writing. There were some kids that ended up, like Annie, ended up in some really high PSAT classes. Mary Catherine Menekheim and I ended up in a class of 7 up in Northrop in this little room with Mr. Hatch, and the radiator would bang, 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 bang. And you can see we were learning the art of styling sentences. I think about Mr. Hatch very often because communications has become a backbone for any organization that I'm a part of. No matter what we're doing, we communicate well, we communicate often, and we say things that we mean, and we ask questions that we want answered. You wouldn't believe this table right here, they end up with people saying, "I can't believe you called me back so quickly. I can't believe that you got me that information so quickly." The more you communicate, you're going to find out the more partners you get, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyway, Mr. Hatch taught us so many great things, but the one that I remember is the art of the semicolon. Anytime I use a semicolon correctly, Mr. Hatch, you are king. I had to put this one up. So my sons, Brett and Stuart, and then my niece, Sally, and their little, phones. This was a big deal, and I had to put this up because, of course, in 85, the computer age had hit Blake. And this was the computer. It had a lot of these B1s. I don't remember what that meant, but it was something that connected. But here's what I thought was the best. Many students spend countless hours of their free time jamming or hacking. Blake, we create the hack. Way back then. Very proud of Blake for that. Mr. Hatch told us to write letters, to tell people our feelings. And so in the Spectrum, I did that, and I still continue to do that. We always write to the Star Tribune, the St. Paul Pioneer Press, tell them what we think about what they wrote. And here, Annie, you are. See, you were in that SAT class. You were learning that amazing writing, but I learned the semicolon. And Margaret and Nina, I sent Nina this picture yesterday, and Elizabeth. But that really was, that was something that Blake was focusing on at that time, and I was proud to be a part of it. You know, some days you just don't know what is going to happen. Every day is a new day, and that is true in the nonprofit world. I'm sure it's true in all of our worlds. You never know where it's going to lead, and I absolutely love that. And so this was homecoming in 1985, and I don't know if they all knew that they would end up with shaving cream, whipped cream. I don't know what kind of cream that was, but that they would end up with it all over them. And what a great time that was, and I hope that they remember what we were doing, but I don't. But you never know what your day is going to lead. And it could be carrying a log on our senior weekend. It could have been, oh, it's Clash Day, and so you look really good, but as a blob, you look really crazy. As a leader, I've always said I never know what the day is going to lead to. And I also say I'd never ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do. So doing the dishes on a day I never thought I'd be doing the dishes. And for sure, I never thought I would be mopping the floor that day, because look what I was wearing. But I did know that we wanted to get out of that lease, and I needed the first month's rent and the last month's rent, so I was gonna mop the floor. I also learned that we needed a better dishwasher, and that those mop heads stink, and I think we ended up with a automated floor cleaner after that. You never know what your day is going to bring. And so I think about that, you know, you tuck into bed at night, what was my unexpected today? And how do I celebrate that and remember it? Because those unexpected makes you feel good. I love teams. We talked a little bit about teams, and I've had many opportunities to hire amazing people. And it's always, when they leave, that's your unexpected, but it's also, yeah, you get to go and lead now. It's your turn to lead. I love hiring athletes, people that have been on debate teams, maybe they've been in a play, because you know when you get there and it's the hard day's work, not everyone's going to show up 100%, and so maybe you have to push a little bit more. You have to fill in the void. This is Team Judy. I'm very proud of that. We've raised a lot of money for metastatic breast cancer. This is a team that I led at ICA, diversity and age. Always celebrating our teams. This is out at our farm. This is a first Loaves and Fishes crew, and this is today's crew. And this crew has brought us through the pandemic. This crew got us to the point where we were really solid, and here's the team that dug in deep and did the hard work. I put this one up. I think we had it up. This is when you know you've got a coach, you've got a captain. Ann and I were captains, and then sometimes on your team there's the quiet ones. Those are the freshmen, right? The ones that are trying to figure out, what are we doing here? And they're the quiet ones, and those are the ones that you want to really focus on and find out what's going on in their head. So that would be some of the, well, it wouldn't be Mahoney, but some of the ones in the front row. And I think about those quiet staff members that you want to have one-on-one time with, or maybe your friend who's been really quiet. There's the cast. I definitely had to put this one up because Tom Palma's in it. This is my freshman year. And this is when you know that people are watching you as a leader, and I was a freshman, and I was watching Liz Walls as a leader. How is she going to do it? How are we going to win this season? And Tom would say, sometimes you end up riding the pine even when you're the captain because you foul out every single game. You get 5 fouls and you're riding the pine, which I typically was, but I had to figure out how to lead the team to victory in the end from the bench. So thank you, Tom. You did have a lot more hair there. Do you want to go back at that? He asked me this morning, is there a lot more hair? But I also think that we're not all playing basketball anymore, right? But we're in a lot of different teams. We're in neighborhood associations. We're in book clubs. Maybe we have a medical team. There are teams, and maybe it's your spouse. That's your team. How are you showing up? Teams are big and small, and sometimes they're ugly, but mostly they're amazing. The thespian team. I just had a really good time finding pictures. Okay, this is the only slide that I kept from the original because it's tangible. If you have ever taken like a Myers-Briggs, this is the Strength Finders test, Strengths Finder. And it is, if you haven't done it, it's worth doing. And if you have a small team, it's worth doing as a team. And I'll just give you the nuts and bolts. But these are all the people on our staff that are in office. And when somebody new comes on, they take the test, we have breakfast, and then we say, oh my gosh, well, we're kind of alike. Oh, we're really different. Geez, that Cathy Maes, she's off the charts in competition. Nobody's there. How do we handle her? Those are the conversations that we have, and that builds a really strong team. And then by doing it every once in a while, when a new staff comes on, it becomes fresh again. So if you haven't done it, I highly suggest it. That's your gold nugget. I hope you take it home. Okay, partners. Let me see this page. I know I've got something on partners. So growing to 4.2 million meals, we think it's going to be 4.4 million meals this year. How did we do it? We did it with our teams, and we also said when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And it was tough. I will kid you not. It was 80-hour weeks. We were trying to figure out, we already had a lot of these partners, but trying to figure out how to fill voids, how to fill gaps, how to find more people that needed more food. We knew that we could get the food. We had a lot of food, but we knew that people were struggling. And we found those that were struggling, and guess what? We did a lot of communicating with them. And they liked it when we called them back. It's a perfect example of, again, just doing the hard work and doing it. I'll back up. I remember saying, we're going to make this decision right now, and we hope it informs the next one, because the next one's coming, and the next one's coming after that. And we didn't have a lot of time to go into strategic planning and say, let's look at the landscape here. There was no time to look at the landscape. It was right in front of us, and we had to go. So we went from 1.3 million meals in 2019 to 4.2 million meals. Kudos to my team. Here's a fun example. I have a good friend, his name's David Hahn, and he runs Urban Ventures. He's here today. And he called me one Saturday. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was out on a walk. We were cleaning up the neighborhood, and he said, Cathy, I need food. And I was like, okay, Dave, what do you need? I don't know, the place, his location is down off of Lake Street. The place is on fire, there's no food. Okay, I made a couple calls, and we had about 3,000 meals, right, Kylie? 3,000 meals down to Urban Ventures that afternoon. A couple days later, Dave Hahn's calling back. Hi, Dave. I need more food. I opened up a food shelf, and I don't know what I am thinking. Why did I do this? And I said, because the people need food. We'll get you some food. And I think we got him a semi-load or whatever we needed to get him. A couple days later, Dave Hahn calls. I'm like, geez, Dave, I thought you were getting out of the food business. And he said, I'm just calling to say thank you. And I said, well, that's really nice. And he said, what do you need? And I said, Dave, the pandemic has taught us that we need a kitchen. We need our own kitchen to cook off large amounts of food so that we can get them out to all of our sites so their lift is a lot lighter. He goes, well, you know I've got a kitchen, don't you? And I said, Dave, you never told me about your kitchen. So Dave and I made a deal. I said, I'll give you $1 a year for that kitchen. He said, it'll be $2. So we paid $2 a year. We were able to cook off large amounts of food, and then the children at Urban Ventures are fed as well. So great partnership that just happened without a whole lot of strategic planning, a couple of phone calls, and we were cooking food. A lot of hunger partners. I have to tell you about this one. This is North Minneapolis. I just started at Loaves and Fishes, and we were having some problems in North Minneapolis, and I really wanted to bring community together. I really wanted the police to be a part of our meal program, not just standing at the door. And so I set up a meeting with Friesleben, Lieutenant Friesleben, and he took my call and said, sure, I'll meet with you. So I walked into his office. Did you play basketball? I said, I did play basketball. And he said, were you center? I said, I was center. He said, who'd you play for? I said, I played for Blake. Oh. Anyway, his daughters played basketball. It was a great conversation. And I told him what I was thinking. I said, I'd really like it if your police officers would come and serve the food, if they would come and do the dishes. Okay, maybe you don't have to do the dishes, but at least come and be a part of the world that you are serving. 2 days later, he said, I'm sending some people. Right down North Minneapolis, 2 police officers mounted on huge horses are coming towards me. And I'm like, not quite what I was thinking about. What are you going to do with those horses when you're going to do the dishes? Anyway, it's been a great partnership, and we have police officers that come and do the dishes. They serve the food. They get to know the guests. They know some of the bad apples, and they sit down with them and they eat with them. And that is community. So I'm glad that I played basketball, and I'm glad that he recognized I played basketball because that was my in. Our mission, as Ann said, is to feed anyone who's hungry in Minnesota. We don't ask any questions. We just open our doors and we welcome them in. That's our mission. But maybe you have a passion. You might not have a mission. It might be art. It might be fishing. It might be computer science. I don't know what it might be. It might be volunteering. But I know when the work is hard, you need to get close to your passion, to your mission, because it makes the work and your day so much brighter. And so getting out to our sites, sitting with the twins that have eaten with us for many years, or holding Peaches so her mom could eat, is getting close to the mission. And it brings all the hard work full circle to be good work. Good work. Well done today. Get close to your passion. Figure out what that is so that you have good days. Now, I could not skip this photo. These are my parents. I called my mom the other day and I said, hey Mom, do you have that Ski Jammers patch? I need it. Can you take a picture of it? And she sent it. A lot of people have said, Cathy, were you born a leader? Your brothers leaders? And I do think there's a little bit of that, but I will tell you, those 2 are leaders, Nancy and Jim Countryman. They started Ski Jammers just because they knew how to ski. They knew a couple people. They started the largest roving ski school, I believe, in America, and it still goes on today. They believed in my 3 brothers. They said, you can do it. You can do anything you want to do. They also believed in Blake. They looked at Blake as an opportunity. as an opportunity for all 4 of us to excel in a smaller environment. They believed in it as a legacy. And I will tell you this, I am so proud that there are children that can get great support from Blake that can't always afford it. Blake was a heavy lift for my parents, and I knew it. Not that they told me all the time, but I knew it. I knew that it was important to them. I probably could have been a better student. My dad probably said I could have applied myself more. But I learned a lot from them, and I'm so grateful for 2 amazing people. This is my last slide. Here's our class, and we have lost a few, sadly. But the biggest lesson I've learned since 2nd grade was to say thank you. Now, you can say thank you to people in big and grand ways, but I found the best way to say thank you is to find that person that you need to thank and say it very specifically. Hey, I heard you on the phone the other day. You had a tough call with that person, but you handled it well, and you represented our company well. Thank you. Hey, you know how important communications is to us? I'm looking at your edits. You're spot on. Thank you. When it gets to be that granular, that's when people know you're watching, you're listening, and you care. I have one last thank you. To my husband, for cheering me on and saying, I'm your best fan. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much. That was really great, Kathy. Really terrific.
Thank you.
And I will just say that I'm a pretty darn good skier because I went to ski jam. I bet there's a couple of questions out there for Kathy. If anyone has the courage to go first, please do so. And John, did we have some, we have a microphone, do we have some that came in over the internet? No? People were too afraid to type? Okay. Got it.
They were afraid of the semicolon.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I'll break this. Yeah, with this huge expansion, I'll just try to be loud. With the huge expansion, how did you select? How did you know where the need was? That expansion is just so tremendous.
Right.
How did you know where the food was?
Okay, so the question was about the expansion. How did we know where to go? There is, we partner with Boston Consulting Group, and they created an amazing heat map of the entire state of Minnesota. And it shows where there are children, kiddos in poverty, where free and reduced lunch is prevalent, where a grocery store is far away, and it's all color-coded. So if somebody calls and they're in an area where the color is not the color we need, we don't go, because we won't be successful. We are very excited to announce we have just dried the pen and ink on a lease agreement up in St. Cloud, near Waite Park. And that will be our next endeavor to expand our work to Greater Minnesota. We are in Greater Minnesota down in Marshall and up in Aiken, but St. Cloud would be a big boon for us, too. A good population. Good question.
What's your typical, how is the distribution done, the actual serving of the food?
There's a lot of different ways that it happens. So if you go back to our roots, it's really a congregate dining model. You come in, you're served a plate of food, and you sit down and you eat. Pandemic came, you didn't go to restaurants, and we are the largest free restaurant in Minnesota, so you didn't walk in through our doors. We went to a 100% to-go model, and people would walk up, drive up, and bike up to get their food. And what was really lovely about that is a mom or dad could come up and say, I have 3 children at home, and we would send them home with 3 extra meals. And those children might have thought that was Famous Days. You know, they didn't have to know it was Loaves and Fishes. And then on the weekends, we go down to St. Paul and Minneapolis with a crew of people, and we go to the homeless encampments, and we hand out more food than you could ever imagine in St. Paul and Minneapolis. And then, all those partners. Those are all nonprofit partners that we redistribute our food. We're the first redistributor of Second Harvest Heartland. You've heard of them. And so if you're a nonprofit and you are serving people food, you have access to our food. And so there's a lot of food.
What's the demand out there above the 4.2? If you had all the finances and the abilities, what's the need out there in the state of Minnesota?
In the model that we're serving, I would say it's probably triple what we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. Because if you get out to the reservations, you get up to Duluth, and where food access is limited, it's a whole nother ball of wax. So yes, and that was one reason why I came to Loaves and Fishes. I knew that it was a statewide organization and that we wouldn't be just hanging out in Minneapolis and St. Paul. We could go far and wide and up to Canada and down to Marshall. Yeah.
How many volunteers do you have?
We have over 10,000 volunteers in our database. On any given day, Letitia's in charge of all of them. On any given day, it's hundreds. And sometimes it's a lot of opinions. We love our volunteers. We couldn't do it without them because they are really the hands of serving the food. And they're also the ones that get to meet the guest and be with the guest and see the need. It is one of those amazing experiences where you're like, I gotta go do that again. I've got to do that again. I did not know this existed. This is important. And so our volunteers are always more than once, more than twice, and a lot of families come and show their children. In fact, we had a great opportunity with Blake just this last week with Legacy Day, and a lot of snacks were packed by Blake students, and blankets were tied, and those are already heading out to the streets. So thank you for that. Yes?
What are your revenue sources?
Revenue sources. We are a regular garden variety nonprofit. We get lots of individual donations, about a third from individuals, a third from foundations, and the rest from either contracts, a little bit of government, USDA.
Any other
We
questions?
try to stay away from the government funding because it's very difficult sometimes. Yes, Shelby. How can you help? You can volunteer. You can donate. You can advocate. And you know what? You can stop and give that person on the side of the street. You can go up to our website, print off a list of where we're serving meals, print it out, and instead of handing them a $5 bill, tell them this is where you can go get food. So you can spread the word that we have food and it's readily available. Don't drive past the people on the side of the streets. If you're nervous, just at least smile. That's all they want.
So, just quickly, Kathy, to expand on that, how do you do that?
Oh, how do you do that?
As a volunteer, do you go on your website, you sign up for a Friday night dinner service, or
Yep,
you're
Loaves
making
and-
a gift in kind? How do you
I'm sure the link will be up on something, loavesandfishesmn.org. And we use Sign Up Genius, really easy. I'm sure you've used it before. You can go and look at what city you live in, what city you want to serve in, and come and help. It's not a heavy lift. It's a couple of hours, but you'll make a really big difference. Suburbs, in the cities, all over. Yeah, Betsy.
You talked about how the pandemic forced you to go to giving the meals to go. Are there some other things that is it now back to business as usual, or what has the pandemic changed that will now change for everybody?
Yeah. We're actually piloting right now to see if we could do hybrid sites, a little bit of to go and a little bit of coming in. And to a T, our guests are loving the to-go model, so that will inform our work moving forward. It's a heavy lift. I will tell you too that to-go containers are expensive. If you and your spouse, whoever you're eating dinner with at a restaurant, can put all of the food into one to-go container instead of 4, that would save the restaurant a lot of money. I know that sounds funny, but it is the truth. We used to spend about 0 on to-go containers, and Kylie, what are we at right now? About how much a month?
A year.
How much? 80. Oh, 80. I thought you said 8. I was like, no, it's more than that.
80,000 a year.
80,000 a year, and so that's what it is. But we're feeding the people, so you'll do it hook or by crook. Thank you for that.
One more.
Cathy, what is your limit to expansion? Is this something you could expand beyond the state?
Well, it depends on who you're asking. Kylie Benson would say we should be, in Wisconsin and the Dakotas and I don't know where else. For right now, it's Minnesota. We're Loaves and Fishes MN. There are 138 Loaves and Fishes across the country, so make sure you put MN in the line. Otherwise, you might be in Santa Monica. It's a title that's used often. But yes, we could expand. Our bylaws don't hold us just to Minnesota.
I'm gonna ask one more. We've served or volunteered.
This is my brother.
I said I was a leader, so we've served at some of the outlets, right? Would you explain to everyone the meal? I mean, you put a lot into it. It's a nutritious meal. It's not, I don't want to say Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Right.
I mean, this is real food. Explain to everyone it's an amazing setup.
Right, so people are like, are you a soup kitchen? No, we are not a soup kitchen. Because in my head, a soup kitchen is broth and some stale bread and maybe an apple. And we have gone far away from that because we can procure our own food. We're looking for lean proteins. We have crunchy salads. We have fresh, juicy oranges and different kinds of fruits. And we have amazing chefs that take what we have and go, I shall make this. And our guests are like, I have never eaten so well. We have many guests that have been sick with diabetes, maybe hypertension, and by eating our meals, their doctors are saying that some of the best food that they've eaten, and they have gotten better because it's not laden with carbohydrates and a lot of sugars. Oh, I got rid of desserts about 6 years ago, and you would have thought that was World War III. But it really wasn't for the guests. They loved all the fresh fruits that we brought in, and we got rid of all the brownies and all the chocolate desserts. They can get that someplace else, but under this organization, it's all about fresh and healthy. Yeah.
Say, you are moving on
I am.
from Loaves and Fishes, and where is your leadership going to land?
Yes, I am retiring in December of this year. It's been a great run. I actually thought I was a 5-year trick pony and had not planned to stay for 10 years, but we just kept doing great things. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm staying. Got to see this one through. We just finished a succession plan, and Kylie Benson will be the new executive director for Loaves and Fishes, and he has been with me serving for 5 years. So feeling really good about a smooth transition. The staff is excited, our board is excited, and my husband and I are going to go and maybe renovate a couple more old houses.
Sounds pretty great. Hey, your staff is all right there. Would you please?
Yes,
stand?
please stand. And that's just part of it.
Pretty great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Cathy, and thank all of you for joining us. There are a few more events. Check your calendar. We have another breakfast on November 10th. I'm not reading my notes. They're on the table. John, who's speaking again? Can you tell us?
It's John Nero. He's our outstanding he's our young alum of the year. He's a Berkeley professor, and he's done some amazing things.
Oh, God, I'm happy for
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
He'll be here to speak.
So he'll be here, and then there is a tour of this campus, correct?
Yes.
Meeting where, when?
Just right outside the Bogey Commons. It starts at 10 o'clock. So
Perfect.
about 20 minutes.
Good. Hope you all enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy your reunion if you're reunion, and come cheer the Blake team at 6 o'clock tonight. Terrific. Thanks, everyone. And thank you. You were so great. God, what a spirit.